Hey guys, so this is going to be a whole lot different from the videos that I usually make. Before we start though, I need to point out a few disclaimers. Number one, I am not a professional in the field of psychology, nor am I a professional on the topic of depression, anxiety, or any mental illness. Number two, I do not mean to offend, nor do I have any ill intentions against anyone mentioned in this video. Everything that I'm referring to at the time of filming this video is available to the public, but nonetheless, I will try to be fair and try not to wrongly judge, because again, I don't have the full story, I don't have full context, I just have everything that's available to the public. If you haven't yet, go watch the IG live story. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube, multiple people have posted it. I'm not going to show or recap on the whole video, just the parts that I think are important. And number three, and most importantly, I'm going to say this off the bat, in a time when we're stuck indoors, domestic violence, feelings of being trapped and alone are statistically high. If you know someone who has a history or is having dark thoughts right now, maybe loneliness, anxiety, thoughts of hurting themselves, maybe even you right now who's watching this are having these thoughts, please talk to someone. Family, friends, loved ones, or any of the numbers I'm going to leave in the description down below. Please do talk to someone. You are not alone in this. With that said, let's jump right into the main topic. The Unconfined Cinema presents Love Team, starring Lloyd, Cruz, and Bea Alonzo, written and directed by Antoinette Jadone, I hope I'm saying your last name right, and produced by Irvin Romulo, Philbert D, and Dan Villegas. Alright, so where do I begin? I was on Facebook one night and I came across an article that read Bea Alonzo and Lloyd Cruz on Instagram Live. Now, I've said this before, I'm not a big fan of Philippine cinema, but I am a big fan of Lloyd Cruz and Bea Alonzo, especially in their hit film One More Chance. If you know this movie and if you're a fan like myself, then you probably had the same reaction, which was, "Oh my god, it's Popoy and Basha!" So of course I jumped right onto Bea Alonzo's IG story and watched the whole thing. First few minutes of the IG live were just as I imagined. Bea and Lloyd reminiscing on the good old days, and Bea showing off just how much she knows Lloyd Cruz. It was great IG live content. Definitely mashed the kilig and nostalgia buttons in our hearts. But as the video progressed, the tone did definitely start to shift. The tone started to shift when the two started to talk about topics of loneliness, sadness, and worry. They talked about the saddest type of loneliness, which they defined as the feeling of being alone even though you're surrounded by people.
Hindi ako mag-isa. Pero parang mag-isa. Ngayon, alam ko nakakausap kita, mga kaibigan ko. Pero iba pa rin eh. Parang may pag-iisa pa rin eh. Ito yata yung pinakamalungkot na uri ng pag-iisa. Yung tipong napapalibutan ka naman ng ibang tao. Pero hindi mo lang alam, hindi mo lang masabi kung saan ang gagaling yung pakiramdam. Nagsasabing mag-isa ka pa rin.
They talked about the state of our world during this pandemic, and if in this current situation we could really call ourselves blessed.
Yung alam mong dapat masaya ka kasi okay ka naman, maswerte ka. May bahay ka, nakakain ka ng higit sa dapat sa isang araw dahil kahit nasa lockdown ka. So di ba dapat masaya ka na? Dapat papasalamat ka na lang. Matututo kang makontento kung meron ka, nasan ka. Kasi po siya yung iba nga, wala na makain eh. Iba namamatay na. Pero hindi ko lang talaga masabi kung saan gagaling yung bakit may ganito kang nararamdaman.
They talked about what it would be like to raise a child in this current situation. Lloyd didn't even see himself as lucky in this world because of poverty, hunger, and death, not only in the Philippines but around the world.
Sama eh, no? Parang sarili ko lang iniisip ko eh. No?
Hindi naman. Pero try mo pa rin maging masaya kahit na para kay Alex lang. Diba?
Mas totoo lang, malulungkot ako para sa ano. Actually, hindi lungkot eh, mas takot. Natatakot ako para kay Elias.
Ba't naman takot?
Natatakot ako kung paano ko siya palalakihin sa ganitong mundo. Iba na yung mundong ginagalawan natin, hindi eh. Iba na. Bilis nang mamatay ngayon. Bilis nang pumatay. Kaya iniisip ko, matatawag ba talaga nating maswerte yung mga sarili natin? Habang yung iba na, yung hindi maswerte, nababaril lang ng ganun-ganun lang sa kalye. Namamatay na lang ng walang kalaban-laban dahil sa sakit. Ako nahihirapan akong sabihin, swerte ako. Nakakahiya. Nakakahiya na maswerte ka. Wala nang magawa.
Bea, on the other hand, thought this is exactly why we are lucky. Because we're able to have the choice to do something and help with the privilege that was given to us.
Alam, feeling mo lang wala kang magagawa, pero sa totoo lang, marami tayong pwedeng gawin. Tayong mga maswerte.
Yun din ang tanong ko eh. Maswerte ba talaga tayo? Ako, wala akong choice. Dito ko kailangan palakihin ng anak ko sa ganitong estado ng mundo. Hindi ko alam kung maswerte pa rin yung tawag.
Maswerte. Swerte nga. I mean, doon nag-uumpisa yun eh, kapag alam mo na privileged ka. Pero yung question is, what do you do with that privilege?
The conversation even reaches a point where John Lloyd starts to question the relief operations that Bea was doing despite it being for a good cause.
Okay, please don't get me wrong. Yung ginagawa nyo, yung selflessness nyo na yan, yung appreciation ko dyan is beyond words. Maniwala ka. Pero hindi lang mawala sa isip ko yung posibleng false hopes na kalakip ng mga pagkain na ibigay nyo. Kasi hindi naman siya sustainable eh.
Wow.
Diba? So maiiwan yung tao na umaasa na bukas may magluluto,
Okay.
magpapak, magbibigay, magpapakain.
O tapos,
Pero ang tanong nga, paano kung wala?
ano yun? Parang ako na yung tumutulong, ako pa yung nakakasama. Ganon.
Hindi ko sinasabing masamang tumulong. Ang sinasabi ko lang, dapat tulong lang siya.
Oh,
Kasi dapat may ibang bahala dyan. Hindi naman pwedeng aasa na lang lagi sa kabutihan ng kapwa, di ba? Dapat meron na nanggagaling sa kinauukulan.
kaya nga, yun yung sinasabi ko, Ethan. Habang wala pa, habang naghihintay, tumulong na yung pwedeng tumulong. Yun nga. Ganyan ka naka-pessimistic. Totoo.
I'm just trying to manage my optimism.
The conversation ultimately meets a standstill when the two talk about the hunger of the soul and how to fulfill it.
Yan yung nakakalungkot. Diba? Pag gutom, pagkain nakakaalis na. Kaya lang, paano pag hindi na lang gutom? Paano pag takot na? Paano pag malungkot na? Paano pag galit na? Diba, yung mga yan, hindi kayang tanggalin ng pagkain. Hindi kayang tanggalin ng tubig, ng relief ops. Lagpas na yan sa physical. Paano pagka yung loob na yun nagugutom? Paano pag kaluluwa na yung walang-wala na? Yun, nakakatakot. Gutom na nga ang tiyan, gutom pa, pati kaluluwa.
Kaya nga, huwag na paabutin doon.
Pero paano nga? Ang daling sabihin yan eh. Tayo okay tayo. Eh, yung iba, paano sila?
Sana may taong kayang sumagot ng tanong.
Okay lang. Hindi naman tayo dapat ang sumasagot niyan.
They also converse on the topics of self-identity and realization.
Nandun ka nung nagmahal ako. Nandun ka nung nasaktan ako. Nandun ka nung wala akong matakbuhan. Nandun ka nung kailangan ko ng kaibigan. Nandun ka nung kailangan ko ng kausap. Pag binabalikan ko lahat ng yan, minsan hindi ko na alam kung ano pa tayo. Sino tayo. Pero okay lang. Kasi ang mahalaga yung nandun ka. Yun lang, sapat na yan.
Ano movie yan?
Wala, gusto ko lang sabihin.
Oo. Grabe, no? Tagal na natin magkakilala. Hindi, pero
Nice
totoo.
naman.
Parang hindi ko rin naman talaga kasi alam kung kilala ba talaga kita. I mean, sino ka ba? Ikaw ba si John Lloyd Cruz? John Lloyd? Si Popoy? Ikaw ba si Idan? Si Lloyd? Ako na, hindi ko rin alam kung sino ba ako? Ako si Bea, si Desai, si Basha. Alam mo yun, yung sila ako, pero parang hindi rin sila. O, lumaki tayo sa harap nila, lumaki tayo sa harapan ng isa't isa, sa camera, ngayon, Instagram. Tapos lagi natin sinasabi kung maka-judge sila sa atin, akala mo naman kilala nila tayo. Pero, hindi ko alam kung ako lang, o ganito ka rin. Yung, minsan, hindi ko rin naman talaga alam kung sino yung ako. I mean, sino ba talaga ako? Itong kausap ko, sino yan? Si John Lloyd? O yung totoong ikaw?
Sino nga ba yung totoong tayo? Meron bang ganun?
Naalala ko tuloy yung line ni Basha, yung now it all makes sense. Kahit na may nararamdaman akong mali, I chose to look away. I chose to keep quiet. Kasi ang sabi ko, na nagmamahal, naniniwala, nagtitiwala.
Sabi ni Basha o sabi mo?
Sabi ni Basha, pero sabi ko rin.
The video did end on a light and happy note, but that night I was pretty troubled on the way that John Lloyd spoke. Like I said, I'm not a professional on psychology or mental health, but I don't think you needed to be one to see how troubled and sad his mindset was in the video. I did end up scanning through his Instagram to see what type of content he was putting out to sort of get an insight into his life. I even had a conversation with my sister. In the middle of the conversation, she did bring up that a friend told her that it might be for a movie, which reminded me of a post I saw when I was deep diving on his Instagram, which was dated April 11th. So from then on, that little theory became a little bit more plausible, especially with how the live stream ended. The happy sing-along type with the goodbye and the smile. But I kind of brushed it off because it was 2 weeks after the post. Then finally, on April 29th, John Lloyd's Instagram released this post. Again, I was already kind of half expecting it, but of course, this post confirms it. And honestly, I had a lot of mixed emotions about it. But now that I'm making this video, I was pretty impressed. At the same time, even though I wanted to make this video before I found out it was just a movie, the original purpose why I wanted to make this video still stands, whether or not John Lloyd was acting or not. Let's start with the macro points, and then I'll slowly start to get into the specifics and the main takeaway point that I want to say. Maybe if I saw the April 11th post a little bit earlier, or before the live stream, I might have caught on right away, but regardless, the execution and the setup of the whole thing was flawless. My girlfriend Lynette even pointed out to me that they were conversing in between Instagram posts to sort of set up the mood of John Lloyd's so-called character. The announcement post on April 29th explains everything in detail as well. It's basically storytelling on more modernized mediums such as Instagram and Facebook, outside what we see as traditional such as TV and movies. Looking back, the Instagram live story itself portrayed a lot of what classic Philippine cinema and storytelling lives and breathes. Love, drama, a little bit of comedy, the phenomenal kilig factor. And personally, this is usually why I'm not a huge fan of Philippine cinema, because it usually revolves around the same concepts. Boy meets girl, falls in love, they both have a conflict, and after the conflict they end up together, or they don't. And it started to get super repetitive, especially because Philippine showbiz is notorious for having actors and actresses in love teams that are always in the same type of movie together. But this was different. This was something I've never seen before. It's like you're reading a book that has a beginning and an end, but the middle wasn't confined to the same book you were reading. What you learned about the middle from other types of books didn't change the main plot of the story, but it did have a lot more detail, insight, and value to it. And that was the whole creative standpoint of this film, as stated here in the Instagram post. It really is amazing if you think about it, but with that blurring of reality versus imagination does come a lot of complexities, especially with this film. Crucial parts of the Instagram story was the blurring of what we know about the characters, what we know about people, and what we know in general, as well as what we remember them as, where we see them, and how we see them today. Personally, when I think John Lloyd Cruz, I think Popoy. When I think Bea Alonzo, I think Basha. But in reality, that's not really them. They specifically chose a lot of references from their movie One More Chance to reminisce on, because that movie and the characters they portrayed there were what technically made them famous as individuals and as a love team. But again, Popoy, Basha, all the characters that they mentioned are just that. Characters. They're not who Bea Alonzo or John Lloyd Cruz really are. But in this film, they play themselves, but not really themselves. And then again, the line between reality and fiction starts to blur. The line between us as viewers on Instagram Live and the two acting as real people start to intertwine as well. And we're mixed and invested in the whole story as we view it and as we try to relate to it. Now I want to get into the mental state of both characters, but mostly John Lloyd Cruz's character. Again, there's more than one possibility with this video. The three ideas, theories, or whatever you want to call it, that I've sort of settled on is that either John Lloyd Cruz is a really great actor, one of the greatest in Philippine history, that some of the statements mentioned in the video were truly how John Lloyd felt, or it was a little bit of both, which is why it felt so real to me. But because of what is stated here on their Instagram post, we may never know. But either way, let's just keep an open mind. Considering this is a Filipino film, it does stray away from some key factors in traditional Philippine cinema. In a sense, there's no real protagonist or antagonist in the whole story. Sure, John Lloyd was portrayed as negative or the instigator, but all of his questions, although pessimistic, are valid. He was telling the truth in the live story when he said it's just two friends having a conversation. And again, I'm going to disclaim, I'm not an expert in psychology or mental illness at all. I don't know what is fact or fiction. Some of it may be real, some of it may be in a script. John Lloyd Cruz really did well in portraying someone in a state of distress and sadness. Everything may have been acting or characters, but the way that those said characters act and talk and see things in the world may or may not be real for the actors, but people around us as well. It was genuinely scary to me how real John Lloyd Cruz's character was. Personally, from what I've seen, depression and sadness takes on many shapes and forms. It can be from someone in debt, someone struggling to get by, a student, a teacher, a taxi driver, an athlete, a millionaire. Just because you're successful, you're rich, you have a lot of friends, followers, or seem or should be happy, doesn't mean they can't or don't have anxiety or depression. And again, a lot of what he asked were valid questions, and those questions might be real reasons for someone to become depressed, have anxiety, if you're not in a healthy mental state. The feeling of having no control of the things around you, or the feeling of needing to control everything, might be overwhelming. Sometimes we have to learn that you can't save everyone, but we can always try the best that we can, and we don't have to do it alone. Just like how Bea Alonzo is doing her relief operations and her charity work, regardless of what may happen after they stop. Deep down, I feel like it's a natural human human instinct to help other people or be empathetic to one another. Or at least I'd like to think that's true. But sometimes situations of depression, anxiety, sadness can be skewed or blinded by the current situation, especially in a situation that doesn't seem like it's in dire need or even real. If you look back, a lot of people in the Instagram story were supportive, but I also saw a lot of people who easily overlooked what was happening, even brushed it off because they didn't like the topic, they weren't entertained, or quite simply they just didn't care. It's also really easy to say cheer up, or don't be so pessimistic, or don't overthink. But we have to remember we're all different people. We have different views, we were raised differently, someone might feel something differently from another person. And this is why I'm saying every question that he had, every fear that he voiced out was 100% valid. From the beginning of the Instagram live, even before the Instagram live, if you look at the Instagram posts, he was voicing out his sadness, his fears, and I don't know which is real or not. Maybe some of it was. But what I do know is there's a possibility that someone close to us, someone that we know, feels exactly the same way that he did. This is the main thing that I want to talk about. We need to learn how to listen. We need to learn how to empathize. We need to learn to look out for people who are calling out for help. It's so easy to overlook and ignore people who are calling out for help too. And usually they do call out for help if we're lucky. But other times it's easy to hide behind something like money, fame, or something as simple as a smile. So again, I'll say this in the beginning, I'll say it again now. In a time like now when we're stuck indoors, domestic violence and feelings of being trapped and alone are statistically high. If you know someone who's having these dark thoughts, loneliness, sadness, anxiety, maybe even thoughts of hurting themselves, and again, you who are watching might be one of these people, I urge you, please talk to someone. Family, friends, loved ones, any of the numbers that I'm going to leave in the description down below. Please talk to someone. You're not alone in this. So yes, I know that was a lot to unload, but the simple IG live session definitely had a lot more to it than we'll ever understand. Then again, that's what art is, isn't it? It's open to interpretation by the viewer, and it's not always going to be the same. On a lighter note, this Unconfined cinema is a great opportunity for a lot of people out there, such as myself, who want to create content online or in more modern fields of media. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. There are so many platforms out there that allows us to be creative, to do what we want. And as long as you have the creative drive and motivation, you can make something like this. These two amazing actors, along with the director and the producers, just had an idea and used what they had in their current situation. They weren't bound by traditions and budgets and rules and guides. They just wanted to do something and they did it. So personally, I think there's no better time to do something that you really want than now, especially that you're stuck at home, you're staying safe, you're in quarantine, you're social distancing from one another. Maybe it's finally time to try that one thing that you always wanted to do. Make that video, learn that dance, learn that song, learn that instrument, read that book. Don't take the time that you have for granted. It reminds me of a lot of what Bea was saying in the video. Be thankful for what you have, don't take it for granted. And if you can, use what you have to help others, use what you have to reach out to others, like what I'm trying to do now. Hopefully this reaches one of you guys. Hopefully this helps one of you guys. The numbers below, I hope you guys use it if you need it. I hope that you reach out to someone. I hope that you talk to someone. So before I end this video, I genuinely hope that it was all in the script and that Lloyd Cruz is just a really great actor. If not, I hope he gets help. I hope he talks to someone. I hope someone reaches out to him. And again, for anyone who's watching this video, if you've reached this video so far, I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you guys are taking care. I do want to make a lot more meaningful content on my channel. I know there's a lot of maybe stuff for myself, stuff that I genuinely like, but I do want to start to reach out more, maybe teach a little bit, especially in my profession of nutrition. Maybe I should start making more content like that. So if you guys like that type of stuff, leave a comment down below. I love conversing with you guys. Check out my Instagram at @LBPeralta. I'm a lot more personal there. I post stories almost every day. Check out my other videos if you guys are looking for something to pass the time. I got gameplay videos with my brothers. I got gameplay videos by myself. I got sneaker reviews, travel vlogs, personal vlogs, anything and everything in between will be on my channel. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys when I see you. Bye guys.